Hello, I'm going to explain how to calculate the relative formula mass. This is sometimes referred to as RFM for short or MR. Here I have a compound called gold chloride. Gold chloride is a compound, so it is made up of more than one element. So what I need to do is I need to calculate the mass of the overall compound using the separate relative atomic masses for gold and chlorine. A lot of the questions will give you the relative atomic masses in the question. In case they don't, you will need to refer to a copy of the periodic table. The periodic table that you've given in an exam always has a key. The key will tell you which number to use. The relative atomic mass is the top number. So if I'm interested in gold chloride, I am interested in the relative atomic mass of Au, which is 197. And I'm interested in the relative atomic mass of chlorine, which is 35.5. So the first thing I need to do is write those numbers down, 197 and 35.5. The next thing I need to do is to work out how many atoms of each element I have in my compound. So in gold chloride, I have one atom because there is no number after the symbol. Chlorine, I have 3 atoms because there is a number 3 after the symbol Cl. Once I have worked out how many atoms there are, I'm going to times the number of atoms by the relative atomic mass. So 197 times 1 is equal to 197, and 35.5 times 3 is equal to 106.5. Once I have got those two numbers, because I'm in a compound, I need to add them together. So if I add those two numbers together, 197 and 106.5, I get 303.5. A more complex example might use brackets. And here I have an example of calcium hydroxide. In this question, I am already given the relative atomic mass of calcium. So calcium is equal to 20, oxygen is equal to 16, and hydrogen is equal to 1. So this question gives me the relative atomic mass, so I don't need to go and look at a periodic table. The use of brackets means that everything inside the brackets is times by the number outside the brackets. So that means I have O times 2 atoms and hydrogen times 2. Calcium is not in the brackets, so calcium is only times 1. Using the relative atomic mass given in the question, 16 times 2 is equal to 32. 1, which is the mass of hydrogen, times 2 is equal to 2, and calcium 20 times 1 is equal to 20. And if I now add 32, 2 and 20, I get 54. That is the relative atomic mass of this compound using brackets. What will that actually look like on an exam question. So here we have an example of how it is written. Calculate the relative formula mass, or the MR, of zinc sulfate, and it gives you the formula. It gives you the relative atomic masses of each one. So the first thing you're going to do is work out how many atoms of each one you had. Zinc is times 1, because there is no number after the Zn. If you are unsure what the symbol of zinc is, you can always check the periodic table and find it there as Zn. Sulfur, there is 1 of those because there is no number after the letter S. And oxygen, there is 4 because there is a little 4 after the oxygen. So now, if I did 65 times 1, sulfur is 32 times 1, and oxygen is 16 times 4. So I've got 65, I've got 32, and if I put 16 times 4 into my calculator, I have 64. And now I add up those 3 numbers, 65, add 64, add 32 is equal to 161. And I would put my answer in that space there, showing my working, using the relative atomic mass, counting my atoms.